at night when we had to go to the bathroom. But that was kind of fun. We'd never had that opportunity before. And then, and the living room and the 2 bedrooms were on the top floor because the cottage was built right next to a hill. And
The walls didn't go to the ceiling.
no, that's what I was going to say. There were 2 bedrooms upstairs with a wall that just went higher than your head. And then there was another wall that went this way that divided the 2 bedrooms from the living room.
Just partitions.
Just partitions, and it was kind of fun to climb on the partitions too. We were not that big. We could just pretend we were monkeys and stuff.
How old were you?
And then
She was 11.
11?
we'd never seen anything like this before, but you'd walk down some narrow stairs to where the kitchen and the dining room were. And the best part of the dining room, for my sake, was they'd made a little alcove off the dining room that was just high enough and had a mattress in it.
That's what Mom talked about
And
today.
I got to stay in the one with the,
You got to
in
stay
the
down there?
alcove.
That's not what we heard.
Well, maybe we
I
both
thought Dick
did.
stayed it. I thought
Oh,
We
now
lived
it's
there
Dick.
more, we
Blame
lived
Dick,
there
right?
more than one,
Yeah, blame Dick, he's not here.
Oh, you stayed there more than one summer?
yeah, we came back the next summer, that was so wonderful, that we were able to come back the next summer and stay the whole summer long.
In that house?
Technology.
In that same house, and it had a porch way up on the 2nd floor, and we could watch everything that happened down below,
Yes, it's
including
still
the
there.
horses that were rented, and people rode on horseback past our house.
You never
It
stayed
was
in the lodge, huh?
wonderful, huh?
Never stayed in the lodge.
Never stayed in the
Oh,
lodge.
no.
Okay.
That was much too expensive.
No, we stayed there
Okay.
for at least 2 years and maybe more, and then we rented a cottage on the other side of the assembly down where the Hollies, Leslie's cottage.
Like Standish or one of those.
Or
Standish
Leslie.
Road.
Well,
Where
way
Leslie-
down at
Leslie.
Yeah.
Hey,
almost at the end.
Alice, I missed the part where you discovered the. Can you go back to the beginning, just really quickly? How you came across the assembly?
Oh,
Can you go back to the beginning? How did you come across the assembly?
we got some
Well, I
gas.
thought it was quite a coincidence in looking back that it was my music and piano teacher who was walking down the road.
M22?
M22.
Huh?
M22?
Yeah, right across from the Crystal View, which wasn't there. That was a gas station then.
I thought
And
we
there
had to
was my
stop and
piano
get-
teacher.
I thought we had
So-
to stop and get gas.
What?
I thought we had to stop and get gas at the gas station.
Oh, I don't remember stopping at the gas
Well, we
station.
had to park someplace.
What were you
Well, we
doing?
probably turned around and went back to the assembly.
So what were you doing in northern Michigan?
We were just sightseeing.
Getting away from the heat. Kentucky.
Dad wasn't in any hurry to go back to Kentucky.
So you're driving along, and of all the gin joints,
Yeah.
Your
well,
music
he got
teacher-
He got to Houghton Lake, and that was halfway across the state.
Or
And so why
Frankfurt's
not
Football
go the
Friday.
rest of the way and see Lake Michigan?
and you're going 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour?
Apparently a
Oh,
little slower.
A little slower
than
than
I guess. Yeah. But,
What I wanna know is, how did he find out about it? I mean, it sounds like he knew
Well,
where
that
it
was-
was going, and
Yeah.
how did he
Was
find out?
Aki
Yeah,
Gunther
well, then we found out.
Was Aki Gunther already up here?
Oh, no.
well, then we found out not only was my piano teacher somebody who came up here in the summertime, but there were 2 more ladies, one of which was a music teacher at the college. And,
Who was that?
and her sister, and they had a cottage over in Wildwood.
Who was that?
So somebody's talking to somebody. I don't
I
know.
don't remember.
Who
But
was
anyway,
that?
that's
Who
the
were
way we-
those people?
They were the Casella sisters,
Okay.
and they owned a cottage that ultimately belonged to the Eulans. And Renee and her family used to rent it. It was a 2-story one that was on one of those hills over in Wildwood. But it sat at an angle like this. And I was amazed that anybody rented it. But it was just, you know, it had just tipped a little bit, I guess. So all the floors were at an angle.
Oh, yeah.
And so when and the furniture sat at a slant. I
Most
didn't
of
like
it
to
would be
go.
down at one end.
Yeah. So then, of course, after we went for two weeks, and the next time the whole summer, by that time, everybody in Berea, Kentucky knew about where we went in the summer and what a wonderful place it was. I don't know if that's how your folks got there. That's the way the librarian and his wife and family got there. That's the way 2 Churchill families got there, and one Churchill and part of that Churchill family still comes to this day.
Gunklers?
Huh?
Gunklers?
Oh, yes, and the guy who was the head of the physical education department in Berea was a good friend, and he and his wife and 4 kids came up, and
He ran,
ran the yacht club.
So that's how you discovered the place. How did you come across Week's End?
We built that.
Grandpa built it.
Well, that's another
Oh,
story.
you want
We've
that
been renting, we probably rented for about 4 years. And I could make up a good story about the Dennisons that were dying to have us come and live next door to them. But they didn't own the cottage at the time. We were there first, but his cottage is much older than ours. But it was like during the Depression, and they needed more people to come, and needed to sell some of the property that the assembly owned. But everybody was too poor to pay the market price. So the board thought, well, maybe if we just kind of donated the a lot or so to somebody we'd like to have stay, who's renting now, who are nice, upstanding, religious
Citizens.
type people, maybe that would be a good idea. So there were a couple of lots up there that the assembly owned, and they offered them to my mother and dad
Wow.
for $1 a piece.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
Really?
There were 5
So
of
my
them.
mother
5
said,
of them.
we will. And she had just inherited,
$1,000. $1,000.
was it 1,000?
So she could afford $5 for 5
That
hours.
she
Well,
had.
that-
Why'd she stop at 5?
That wasn't all 5, right? Didn't you acquire
Oh, we bought
1 or 2 of the lots later on?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm just talking
Yeah,
about the
the
first.
3.
I'm just talking about the first
First
2
2.
lots that
Right.
the assembly
Excuse me.
outfit sold to us for $2, and then Mother had some money with which she was able to have a house built.
And a cottage, 1 cabin.
One
Just the
sleeping
house,
Just the house? Not
just the cottage,
Okay.
yep.
But then you guys built the little cottages.
No, Dad built them later.
Huh?
Dad built a little
For the
cabin.
next year,
Yeah.
I think it was the next year, George Hughes was still working on the cottage, maybe. And so they decided that with the builder's help, that these boys could, Joe could, what's his name? Dick, could build his own cottage. And so he did, and then probably a year later, they built the
Carrington,
girls' cottage.
Charles Carrington and his friend, can't remember, came up one summer and helped build one of the cabins.
Who?
Charles Carrington and Dayton Hulbert
Oh,
Came
Dayton,
up
yeah.
and helped build one of the cottages.
Okay, well, that must have been the girls' cottage.
I think
Because I had a friend who came up and did the wiring,
so. Who was that?
and that was Bill Blackburn.
Oh my, yes.
and he came up with a guy with a friend. His dad was an electrician, and